All right, so let's have a look at model baking. All of the techniques that I'm going to be going through are software agnostic. They just work across any software. I will be going through this with Maya and Blender, but first I'm just going to go through it in Houdini. We're going to go through two separate methods. The first one is support edges, and then the next one is using a blend method. They both have their pros and cons, and we'll go through that. So if we have a look at this model, there's a lot of gotchas when we bake this model. If we have a look here, we obviously have some models sticking out over here, right? And we know how to do that. But when we're doing that in the context of this, it can present quite a few gotchas. We have a separate model on the top here. And these four green rocks and this normal's barrier are their own separate models. So we want to bake them separately, but we want these purple ones to be a part of like this red model, okay? Obviously we have surfaces going inwards. And at the bottom here, we have like this half pipe, okay? And this presents some issues which we'll be trying to solve as well. Okay, so let's go into the model. And if we have a look, this is 511 primitives, and I think the high res is 4.4 million, okay? And if we look at this, it's just a basic model. There's nothing special about it. What I first want to do is split the body off from the barrier, right? So I'm just going to do a blast, all right? And I want to blast the body. And then everything but the body. And then I'm just gonna, just delete the body. And then down here, I want to blast the pieces. Okay, so we want to blast the barrier pieces. And then obviously delete everything but the pieces, right? So we have these two separate, we have these three models, okay? So now I'm just gonna save this. I wanna give this some UVs. So I guess I can, see, can we do a group? Let's see how well this goes. We go edges, we go include edge by that. If we bring that up, oh wow, that's almost perfect. So we'll go seam. And then I'm just going to select this edge here. And what else? This edge here. And I'm going to go group. I'm going to go seam. And I'm going to go subtract from existing. Cool. So we have our seams, and then I'm going to go flatten, UV flatten, and our seams are seam. There we go. Fantastic. Now for our barrier piece, I'm going to do this manually. So I'm just going to click all these. And anything concave, I won't split off, because I don't need to. Because if we average those normals, it generally doesn't cause any problems. Because it's going inwards as opposed to outwards. Okay, so I'm just gonna select these. Okay, that's good there, that's good there. Okay, let's just do these here. And the reason why I'm splitting off this in a square here is because sometimes this edge and these edges here can like conflict with one another. And as we know from our tangent space, it doesn't matter what the orientation is. Okay, so we have a look at this. Let me just take this. Okay, I'm gonna group this. And I'm gonna call it seam. And I'm just gonna grab this and this, just do that. And that works, cool. And then over here, I'm gonna do another method, which is just auto UV. So then I just crank this up and crank this. And that's great. Merge. I copy this. I want to merge these two here. And then I want to merge this and this. So we have all of that together. And I want to group delete because I don't care about that seam group anymore. And then I want to do a UV layout. I just want to lay out all of our UVs. Scale island to match face size. That's fine. Let's go 16 island padding, apply borders, do 10 iterations on a 2K texture, 3D position. I don't really care much about positions and all that stuff. It's mainly about just getting good normals at this point. Okay, save this. Then I want to give some normals. So we're going to do some point normals for the face area. So we have that. And before we do the normals, I want to divide the model. So divide the model. I don't know about these shearing polys, so let's just see. There we go. I prefer that. Okay, and then we do normals. Put that in our material, and the only reason why we have a material here is that so that there is a named material in Substance. And then I'm just gonna export that. So we're in Substance Painter. New. Yeah, it's fine. Let's get our low poly model. 2K. Okay. Great. Model support edges. Perfect. Okay. We have a look here. We've got our UVs. Perfect. Okay. Now I want to bake this, and all I care about are deselect all. Deselect all. All I care about is normals. And we'll go 2K. We'll go 16x. That's fine. And now I want to bring in our high poly model. So I'm going to go high. Bake high. And let's just keep everything at defaults and hit the bake button. Okay, there's lots going on here. So if we have a look here, firstly, we're actually, everything's like warped. Look at this. This is all warped over here. This is warped over here, right? This is warped over here. Hopefully you all know why and see how warped this is. You can even see on this, it's kind of a bit like wobbly. Like, look at this. It's like, okay. So we're going to fix that. This is a bit warped here. This is a mess here. And also, like, for a lot of these, this isn't completed. This is actually like sticking out. This isn't completed. This isn't good. Yeah, so we got like a lot to figure out. So if we turn on our visualization, hopefully you know what's actually happening here. This cage is essentially the ray distance. So remember when we had like our grid and we were shooting up and hitting stuff? This is the ray that's going along our normals, okay? So you can see how like this is like going off in this wonky direction over here. See, it's like, if we go back to Houdini, you can actually see over here, the reason why it's going in that wonky direction is because the normal is going in that direction, right? Because we're weighting it towards the face, right? Like this face here is like bigger than this face, so it's like biasing towards the face. But if we change it to like vertex angle, that is, you know, it's like averaging between the vertices. So let's like save this and let's have a look at this, right? So if we go edit, re-import mesh. Okay, cool. So we'll put this back to 0.01, how it was. And before we do a bake, I'm just gonna do this. And let's just do another bake. Okay. So we can see immediately that things are, they're a lot better, but they're still like super broken, right? We haven't got like this ghastly like error that was over here. And you can actually see that our like edges are quite nice. Like if we really go in, you can see that there's a visual error. And that's just because this is a texture. So UV maps are infinite. Sorry, UV borders are infinite, like mathematically, but our texture resolution is finite, and that's what you see there. So, you know, don't really worry about that. You can still see that things are being cut off here, and this is all a mess, you know. So let's like fix that. So I'm gonna unhide, and we're gonna get our cage, which our frontal distance, and I'm gonna move that out a little bit to like something like that. Okay, so maybe like 0.02. Okay, so we got like that. So we're covering all of this here, covering all of this down here. Okay, and let's hit bake now. And we can hide this. Okay, so this looks like a lot better. We've got some issues over here. That's fine. We certainly got some issues here, but we're actually like seeing all of the lettering, which is good. We're not seeing all of the stuff here, so the stones, that's fine. We've also got some errors under here. We actually can see some of this rock on this surface here, so we'll have to solve that again here and here. And you can see here that this screw, this is also a little bit like warped. And obviously the biggest offender currently is that we have no like back, you know, it's not going back far enough, our rays. So I'm just gonna crank this up quite a bit and then just hit bake. And now you can see that it's like fixed it, but it's still broken. Because now we can see this, right? You can see all the stuff in here. We can see, yeah, all the stuff in here. And there was an error out here before, but that's all been fixed, okay? So if we look at this, let's go to this one over here. If we look at this and we go to Houdini, where is it? Ghost other, yeah, it's over here, okay. The reason why, hopefully you can gather why this looks like this, it almost looks like it's behind this line, is because if we look at this normal here and we look at the one over here, what's actually happening is this is going like this, like this, like this, like this, like this, like this, and then like that, all the way here. So when the rays are firing from, you know, this part of the face, because it's biasing towards that normal, it's firing out here, right? So it's hitting the outside of the high poly at this angle, so that's why it looks like we're behind that, right? So how do we fix this? Okay, well, let's first solve these errors, and then we'll move on to the distance error. Sorry, yeah, we'll solve these errors, we'll solve these errors, and then we'll solve like this tube error here and this height error here, and then we'll move on to like the distance issues, okay? So first things first, I'm gonna go up to here after the seams, and the reason why obviously all these are happening is because our normals are sticking out like this, and we're interpolating across the whole face. So what we need to do is actually create some support edges around here to actually kind of lock our normals, okay, in a position. So I'm gonna ghost the other one. So I'm gonna select some individual faces. So I'm gonna select I'm gonna select this face. I wanna select this face. And I wanna select the top face. I want to select this face and this bottom face for now. Okay, so if I hide these, and then I want to extrude them, poly extrude, and I just want to inset them a little bit. And I want to do it to the individual elements. Okay, so maybe we'll go 0.015 or 0.01. Just want them a little bit like that. Okay, this is fine over here. Now, when it comes to like this area here, I'm just going to show you an issue and then we'll solve it later. So I'm just going to extrude this, inset 0.01 like that. Okay, so that's good. And we'll just turn off these groups. We have a bit of an issue here, but we'll solve that in a second. Let's turn off our normals. Our edges should have stayed the same, and they have. Brilliant. Okay, this is good. Delete the seam, UV layout, divide, normal. Now, if we have a look at our normals, this is very different to what it was. If we go and turn off these extrudes, you can just see how averaged everything is. Okay, and all the interpolation across the face. But if we turn these on, because we have these support edges, you can see that this is averaging from here to here and here to here, right? But then everything in here is like flat. It's looking directly forward, right? Even if we have a look at the faces, all right? You can see these are all like going forward, okay? So let's see what this does. So I'm going to save this, go into here, I'm going to edit, re-import mesh. Our normal map's going to be totally broken. That's fine. We have a look at this. This is fine. Just going to hit bake textures. Okay, this is great. Like, look at this now. So like these are perfect. This is perfect, right? This is not. You can see how this is skewing this way. Hopefully you know why. If our normal is averaged here, hopefully you know what's happening here. This is perfect now. Look at this. This is perfect. So if we have a look at our wireframe, you can see like this is perfect. This is perfect, except obviously for our distance, that's an issue. And this is not perfect, but it's getting there. There's just a distance issue. And then these are some errors here. Okay. Now, what's happening here? We're going to solve this bit next. What's happening here is this model here is firing array and it's hitting the high poly of this and it's like returning that. What we actually want to do is we want this to completely ignore this, 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 and this, and vice versa. Okay, we want these to be their own models and to ignore this, and we want this, this to ignore these, okay? And so let's go and do that now. So if I go inside of Houdini, if we go to our high poly model over here, you'll notice that we have these two groups, right? These two object groups. And what I've actually done is these two groups, I've given them a name. Okay, so if we go into our geometry spreadsheet, you can see for each of these polygons, they have a name on them. So for the barrier items, it's called barrier high. And then just for like the object or the body, it's just called object high, right? So if we go back to our scene, and if we go to our group, you can see this is the object and this is the barrier, right? These two things, right? So for those of you who've used Substance Painter before, you can actually split things apart within one file, right? So the low will, the low will look for the low objects based on their name. So this over here is the object. So I'm gonna create a name and I'm just gonna call this object underscore low, okay? Because the other one's called object underscore high. And this over here, I'm just gonna call this barrier underscore low. And then when I export it here, just on this FBX exporter, I'm gonna say just find the names and make it their own models inside this file. Okay, so I'll hit save. So now if I go into Substance, you can see here if I turn this to match by mesh name, if I go by mesh name, you can see that it's looked at the high poly model and it's gone, oh, we have an object in there called object high and we have another object called barrier high, right? But in our low poly, we don't have any of those. So if I re-import our mesh, and I think if I just remove this and then add it again, there you go. See, it's found our object low and our object high. So our body or our object here on the low will look for the corresponding version of it on the high and vice versa. And if we use this match by mesh name, it'll disregard everything else. Okay, so on that note, if you have a look here, like all of these errors over here, when we hit bake, there you go. We don't have those errors anymore because it's not paying attention to them. Okay, so we've solved that. Great, that was easy. So now if we come down here, I want to solve these, this like wobbling, right? So anyone here who's had to like make barrels or anything cylindrical, you know about this, like how painful this is. Okay, and if we go into if we look at our high poly model and our low poly model, right? If we go into here and we go to the other one, you can actually see what's happening, right? If you have a look here, is that between this vertice or this point and this point, we've got like this straight line in our low poly, and on our high poly, we've got like this arch. So it's like we're kind of taking this and we're baking it into the straight line, so it's kind of going the other way. And then when it gets over here, they're lining up, you know, perfectly fine. So it's encoding it nicely, and then we're getting this arch. It's like an arch, and then nice, and then an arch, and then nice, and an arch. And that's how we get that wobbling in here. And a way that I've found to actually solve this is if we actually make a different model, on our models, on our high poly. So these two models are exactly the same. The only difference is the cylinder of the updated version has the same amount of subdivisions in the cylinder as our low poly model, except I've just divided it here nicely. Okay, so if we then just take this and we go into Painter, I have set it up earlier, so I'm just gonna change it to the updated version. All right, you can see here. So now if we do this, yeah. So now if I just bake this, watch what happens. So we have a look at all the wobbling here. And then if I just bake it, then it's a kind of magic. So now we don't have those gross cylindrical edges. How cool is that? So that's nice. Okay, cool. So that's solved. Now, what else have we got? These are good, these are good. So now we've only got these bits that are not so good here, right? These extruded bits, okay? Now, this is the real tricky part of this. So we could obviously just take this and go, okay, well, let's just crank this so it, you know, looks out, right? And then we go bake. Cool, let's bake that. Okay, and that kind of works. You can see here, this looks good. You can see here, this looks good. And this all looks good over here. Wow, that's nice. And like this looks good. And this looks good. Like everything looks great. It's like perfect, okay? Except when we come here, like this is busted, okay? And like, okay, so like this is busted, you know, we'll figure out that next. But then like this is busted, and the reason is because if we do this, because our front projection is like so far in order to get this in here, that now what's happening is like this model is, you know, hitting this model and vice versa, right? Now, we can go, okay, well, let's separate this out into its own model, just like we separated these, right? And that's perfectly viable, right? You could totally do that, right? But what I'm trying to do here is, like, if we can't do that, how do we solve this, right? And the best way to the best way to do that would be to use a custom cage. Okay, so this is essentially a cage, okay? And we can use a custom cage, and they're a little bit finicky. So let's go into building one of those. Okay, I'll just bake this. Okay, so this looks great. So let's build our custom cage. So we're in here. I'm just gonna hide this. Oh no, we wanna go like that. Gonna hide this. We're in here. And actually, before we do our custom cage, I wanna fix this, right? That's this this warbling bit. Okay. So we want to select this edge over here, and I want to bevel. So if we now ghost this, and we can say, okay, the distance is like that. Okay. And then I want to make this solid and do that. Cool. So we can hide this. And then I want to fuse, because I think, yeah, these two edges here. So we want to fuse this like that. And then we obviously just go to our UV flatten. That's good. Name. All of this is fine. So let's go down to here. This is all great. Let's just save it. So here we want to go edit, re-import, and then we'll just bake. Okay, and there we go. Obviously, because our edge weighting has saved the day, right? Cool. So let's get back onto building our cage, okay? So I'm just gonna save this. And how a cage actually works, right? So if we want to go to our UV layout, is if we get a peak node, we don't want to recompute normals. And we essentially just want to take this and extrude it out so it encompasses everything, right? Just like what we were doing in Painter, right? This is doing the exact same thing. So I want to extrude it out like, what did we do this here? 0.014. 0.014. Okay, that looks great. Okay. However, if we take this, we go, okay, this is fine. Maybe just go a little bit further. Like that. Okay, so that's great. But now we need to bring this out. So with cages, you can't add more vertices or delete vertices or faces or switch anything like that, because things will be warbled, right? Let me just show you. So if I take this face, and if I go extrude, we go, let's extrude this over here and let's bring it out over here. Okay, that's great, like that. Cool. And let's take this and let's extrude this as well. Actually, what I'll do is instead I'll just go like this. What face number is it? What number face is this? Where are you? Face number 30. Okay, so this is face number 28. So I'll go Here we'll go 28 and 30. And what's this one over here? This one's 27. So we'll go 27. Okay, cool, right? So we're just like making more, right? So I'm just gonna copy paste. I'll just get the divide as well. Pop this over here. And then I'm just gonna call this underscore cage. Okay, just save. Oh, we don't need to do that. We'll just hit save. Now, if I go into here, right, and I go, okay, well, let's use a cage and we'll use the low cage like this. Okay, so you can see this is the cage that we just made, right? Now, if we do a bake, look at this, like this is all broken. See how this is like all broken over here? Like things just start breaking when you just build your own cage. Okay? Like you can't get rid of that. And it actually gets worse than this, so, you know. So what we can do instead is we do our peak. Actually, before we do our peak, I'm going to kind of design what we want. And just remove that. So before our UVs. So I'm going to take, let's say, this face over here. This face over here. Do we need... Yeah, we need this face because of this bit over here. And this face over here. And I think that's it. This face over, no, I think that's fine there. Okay, so we're gonna extrude this, poly extrude. Go inset, we'll just go something like that. Hide, we'll need to fix that in a minute. Okay, so what I now want to do, if we do this, is I want to bring this over here. So I'm going to hit S, T. To edit, I want to not want to recompute normals, so we just want to go over here like that. Okay. Over here, this is fine. Oh, I actually didn't need this face. So what face is this? This is face 68. I didn't need 68. So we're going to go over here like this. I want to bring this over. Oh, come on, bud. Okay, there you go. Just want to bring this over here like this. This here is fine. This here is fine. Okay. And then I want to take these vertices here. Let's go edge snapping, T, and I want to snap that to, oh, let's hide the other things. Bring that to there. Hit S, bring that to there. We need to deal with all this in a second. And then over here, I want to go U to there. U to there. Should I just go to there like that? Okay. And then over here, this is fine. We want to bring U down to here and U up to there. Okay, and then I fuse, because you want to get rid of all of those fuses. And then what I want to do here is I want to get rid of this, but I want to close this loop here. Okay, So I'm going to get a poly draw node, and I want to go split. So from you to you to you. And then I want to snap you onto here, you onto here. Then I just need to get rid of these. Okay, like that. And then we can just do another fuse. Okay. And then obviously just do our UVs. And that should be all working great. Okay. So now if we go back to our layout, so we've laid this out, that's great. And now we want to make our cage. So we go through here and we do our peak. And if I ghost this, I now want to hit the S key, click on this, hit the T key, turn off recompute normals, it doesn't really matter, but, and then now I can bring this out to here like that, okay? And then if we go to here, I want to bring this out like that a little bit. And then over here, I want to bring this out like that. Okay, and notice when we're doing this, we do not want to edit the normals. So actually I need to do this. We want to go normals, and then we can divide like that. And notice how when we do these changes, our normals aren't updating. So we turn that off, or you lock normals in your program. Okay, so that's all good. So I want to save that. And then down here, I want to save this. Okay. So now if we go into Painter and I re-import, okay, and we have our new cage, which we've just created. So now if we bake, you can see that we have really nice normals here. We have really nice, like, edge normals here. This works really nice. This is all really nice. This is really nice. This all in here is really nice. This is nice. All of this. We do have some issues in here, which we'll solve in a second. Okay. And then if we go down here, this is nice, this is nice. So all of these are nice. So let's turn our attention to this top area here. So if we go back to here, if I go up to here, here. So what we need to do is create some extra polygons around these edges over here. Okay, so seam, and after this I'll get the draw, the poly draw. Just turn these off, turn our face normals off, and I'll just hide this. And I want to do the split, so we'll go from here to, actually, I want to see where the actual like normal word is. So I want to go from here to like here. Here, this is fine. Here. Here. Like there. and there to like there. Okay, so I think that's good. And then on this side here, we can do the same. We can go like from here, here. Here, here, and then there. There you go, we can do that, right? And then we'll just clean it up. So I'll just hide this. S2, and we'll just clean this stuff up here. Let's do edge snapping. Can do that. Let's do that. Oh. Let's do is this edge slide mode surface. So let's just see if that actually slides on the surface. Turn off snapping. Does that do? Oh, it does do. Okay, and then here we'll just do that. Okay, so then we can just do fuse. Hopefully we still have our edge groups. Edges. Yes, we do, except for over here, S. Group. Seam. Union with selection. Save. So that's cool. We can do that, that, and then hopefully this doesn't all break. Edges. No, it did not. That's because they're different models. Okay, cool. So, you can save this. Divide, divide, save, save, edit, re-import mesh. If we have a look at our cage, it's good. And then if we hit bake, you can now obviously see that these aren't warped anymore because again, as we know that I could have welded those two. Oh well, rip. We know that the vertex the point normal's coming out and it's not, we haven't got that weird interpolation there, right? And you can see here the same thing, right? So this all looks great. Okay, obviously you can make it look better for your game asset. You can even see that we got like nice edges over here, even though that's like a super sharp edge. We got these nice edges. Okay, so that's great. This has turned out really nicely. Okay, so the pro for this is that it looks really nice, and all we had to do was make some edge loops. Okay. The con for this is that we've added a ton of geometry in order for this to look good. Okay, so if we go into here, the final model is, what is it? Come on. Divide. Final model is 713 primitives or polygons. Okay. Minus the few that we didn't weld here that are botched. Okay, so you say 700 polygons, right? When we started with 511. So we've actually like, is that 713? So we've gone up 200 polygons just from here in order to make this look nice. Now it's great, it looks nice, But yeah, so the next method that we're going to do is normal map blending. So we can keep our polygon limit the same, but we have to do a little bit of mucking around in here with blending different types of normal maps. Okay, let's have a look at normal blending. So first I'm going to grab this network over here. There's no point in us redoing it. I'm going to copy, just go in this new area and paste. Bring this down to the bottom here. Okay. So we have our object. We're getting rid of the body. We're doing our seams like we did before. I don't need any of this anymore. We can just delete that. And then we're laying it out, getting our UVs. And same with here, I don't need any of this. Then we combine it. We just UV it and divide it and put this before this. Okay. All right. Cool. So let's go through this, okay? We have our model. We're getting our seams. We're unwrapping it. Same for the other side, right? So what I would like to do now, I'm just going to remove this group delete. We want to lay it out. Okay, so we lay out our models. And then we want to divide it. Okay. And then we want to do our normals, right? And this is where, you know, like everything in this series, this is where things start making a huge difference. Okay. So what we've been doing here is giving this point normals. And instead of giving this point normals, what we want to do is give this the vertex normals. Okay. And we want to just keep it at vertex angle instead of face area. We want to just keep it at vertex angle. And with a cusp angle, I'm just going to go 180 because we want to average, we want to kind of average everything except for our UV borders. Okay. So because what I did previously in order to get these seams for our UVs, we have this seam group, right? So what I can then do is if I copy and paste this, I can now just say, look, just for our seam group, if I turn all this paraphernalia off, turn this off here as well, and turn these off here. For our seam group, let's just give it a cusp angle of 0, right? And if we have a look here, what's happening, okay, we've got this like blend here on this seam here, right? So if we turn this off, you can see they're averaged, right? You can see here, these are averaged, but then when we turn this on for the seam group, what it's going is going, oh, okay, this is a UV seam here. Let's average up. Let's split this over here. So this is perpendicular to this face. This is perpendicular to these faces, and this is perpendicular to this face, right? So we have that, right? That's great, right? And you can see there's a heap of them here because we have all of these triangles that make up this side over here and vice versa. Okay. Now, if we have a look here, you can see that because there is no UV seam here, we're taking these vertices over here and we're averaging them together. And then this one on the other side of this UV border, we're making it perpendicular to this face. So you can see here, we're doing that. So these are still being averaged. Okay. And the same goes for over here. You can see this is being averaged over here. Okay. So we're going to go up here. Now, there is going to be an issue from what I recall over here. This is going to be an issue, and I'll explain that in a minute. So that's fine. All right. So we just give it a material, and then we'll just save that to disk. Okay, now we can go to Substance Painter and go File, New, Normal Blend, 2K. That's fine. Okay, so we have our model, and you can see here, this is averaged and these are split. Okay. So let's go to our bake. We want to go 2K. We want to anti-aliasing, and we want to just get our high poly. We'll just get our update. That's the one that we want. And all is well. I want to just do our deselect all. Actually, let's just, deselect all. And we want to just select our normal for now. So again, we know what to do. I'm just going to keep this like this and just hit bake. Okay, we want to go around here. Okay, here's our error. So we'll talk about that in a minute. The first thing you'll notice is that we have like perfect edge normals. Like, this looks like amazing. Okay, but everywhere else we have the same issue, right? We've seen this before, and that's fair enough. However, if we now turn this from average normals and we turn this off, and it splits them along the UV seam, right? Because we did the vertex normals, right? You can see now that if we move this out like so, to encapsulate all of this, and we hit bake, and we can turn this off, you can see immediately, like, this is perfect. You know, all of this is, you know, this is not, we'll have to solve this. That's okay. But then if we have a look at here, like, this is perfect. This is like perfect here. This is perfect. Like, look, the back isn't, so we like crank up the back and we just go bake. There you go. Look, like, this is perfect. How good is this? This obviously is an error. Everything on our model is perfect except for, we know what's happening here, right? Because we're not using our match by name, right? We know what's happening here, again, because it's going up, and like these are looking at one another, right? Because of our search distance, okay? But another thing you'll notice is that like our edges here, like our hard, harsh edges, like suck, okay? And the thing is with this is when we hit averaged, we just like bring this down, just because, you know, we can. And we hit bake, we get our perfect edges, but everything else is busted. And then when we split it, and then we, you know, we can just bring it up, everything else is great, except our edges, like, suck, okay? And that's where we're going to have to blend between the two. But before we do that, let's solve a few of these issues up here, right? So we'll solve the object, you know, the object name first. And also what I want to do at the same time is you can see here what's happening with this purple line, right? And what this is saying is missing seams on hard edges, because this is a hard edge, okay? And because every time that there is a hard edge or a split edge, there needs to be a UV seam, okay? And the reason why is because a hard edge splits the vertices, right? And those vertices that are split, they need to have a UV seam, because if they don't, those vertices will be occupying the same space on the UV map. And because textures, as we've discussed before, are finite, they have a certain resolution, and UV maps are infinite, what ends up happening is on that same pixel, this one vertice which is pointing this way is going, I want to encode this direction on it. And another one is pointing this way and going, I want to encode this direction on it. So you've got like, it's almost like Z fighting, but at the pixel UV level, where things are just kind of like, you know, getting in each other's way and overriding one another, and you have those errors, right? So let's solve these. So I'm going to go back into Houdini, and where is it? We'll just do this one here first. I'll just go up to here, and in the seam over here, I'll just say, okay, what is that? That is 0.3435. So I'll just go to the end, and I'll go T34-35. And there you go. It's added it in there. And that's fine. And then over here, what I want to do is, do we need to do anything to this? No, I think we're good here. So because previously we spoke about this name in the previous video, all we have to do here is just, yeah, I mean, that's turned on. So we save it, that's fine. And then if we just go into here, want to re-import it, you can see now that that missing seam on hard edge has gone away. And then if we change this from match from always to by mesh name, you can see now they match one another. So if we bake this, we can use average, it's fine. We can just bake it. And you can see now that the issues here have gone away. The issue here has gone away, except we have a issue with these hitting one another. So our cage needs to be a bit better. And all of this is great. Except this, obviously, because this is sticking out a lot. Okay. So let's make our cage. So I'm going to go back into Houdini. And we have this over here. This is fine. UV layout, that's fine. So then from here, I'm going to get a peak node. And if we do our peak, you'll see that it doesn't quite work like it does in Substance. Okay, like the vertices are still, they're not moving along their normals, right? Because we actually need to split these points here. Okay, and it does it under the hood in Substance. So in Houdini, if I just type split points and we want to split it along the UV border, so if I do that, then you can see now it's split. So we can just, you know, do this. So if I get our ghost model and I can do something like that. So that's there. Just make sure that none of these are touching one another. That's all good. That's all good. Let's turn these off. So then what we want to do is I want to select this. Oh, select this and this. And go peak. Do another one. Turn this off so we can just do that. Okay. Then this over here, I want to bring this back to here like that. And this back to here like that. So it's not hitting any of that stuff. And then this one here, obviously, we want to bring this one out like that. And I guess this top one didn't go far enough out. Oh, well, we can just do this. And it should just work. There you go. Oh, these are just touching. Are they actually touching? Well, it's not touching the other model, so it's fine. Okay. So on that note, I'm just going to take this, copy, paste. We'll get the divide. Don't have to worry about the normals so much. And we'll go blend underscore cage. Turn that off. Oh, let's keep it on. Save. Save. Okay. So if we go into here now, we go edit, re-import mesh. And then we go use cage. And we get our low poly cage. Then we just go bake. You can see now that this works perfect. Right? Everything works great. This is good. This fits nicely. This is all good. You can see there's no warping here. There's no warping here. All right, perfect. But now we average it and bake it, and we have these errors. Okay, so how do we blend these two? Well, we have to make a little export preset to export these two separate maps, okay? And just to be aware, we're not going to go through this in this video, but you will have to do the same thing, what we're about to do to the normals with your ID, ambient occlusion, curvature, and thickness, okay? But just for time's sake, we'll just do it with the normal, but you just do the same thing with the others, okay? So I'm going to go File, Export Texture, and in our outputs, we're going to make a new template. So I'm just going to rename this to Normal Blend Mesh Maps. Okay, just call it that. And we want 3 RGBs. We'll go Targa, Targa, Targa. So here we'll go texture set. I might go split underscore, I'll go normal. Normal underscore split, and then the texture set. Copy, paste. Normal underscore average, average. Texture set. Normal underscore combined. Texture set, okay? And so we want to go these ones, we want this to be our mesh map. So we want to go normal from RGB, normal from RGB, oh, normal from RGB. And then the combined, we actually want to get our normal DirectX, right? Like that. Okay, so normal blend. We want this to go to, I want to go substance, mesh maps, select folder. Make this Targa. Okay, that's fine. And we want this to be our mesh maps, normal mesh maps. And we now, this is averaged. So we want to get the averaged. Then we want to go export. Output directory. Here is our average one. You can see it's like busted here. Okay. Save settings. I'm going to turn on the use cage. Bake it. So this is nice. Okay. File. Export. And instead of average, I want to go split. Export. Our blended, our average one and our normal split. Izzy, this is nice. This is perfect. Okay. So now I want to go up to here and I want to grab these, bring them inside. And we want to go texture, texture, and we want to just import them into the project. Import. So you can see we have them here, normal average, normal split. So here under the mesh maps, I'm just going to delete it because that's the one of the ones that we just baked. And I need to create, I mean, you can turn it into a smart material, but I just want to create a layer and I want to turn everything off but our normal. Okay. And then I'm going to duplicate this layer. So I'm just going to call this BG background. And then I'm going to call this split. And then I'm going to duplicate this and I'm going to call this average. Okay. So our split is everything, and our average, I'm just going to go like this and call this edges. Okay. So in our split, I want to get our split normal. Boop, and put that there like that. And then under our average, I just want to get our average normal and put that like that. Except under the normal panel, we want this to be normal and not pass through. We'll change this to normal as well. Okay, and we change that to normal. Okay, so they're a normal, not as in like normal map, but normal as in like it doesn't blend. It just overwrites everything under it. Okay, so then what I want to do is under the split, you know, I'm just going to make a dummy layer. I'll just call this mask. And under this dummy layer, we don't want anything. So I'm just going to go nothing. And actually, we'll just put it on color just so that you can see. We'll turn this on color. We'll make this black. Okay, and we'll make this white. Okay. And I want to get a black mask. and I want to add a generator. The generator I want to add is UV border. You can see what's happening here. So we want to bring this down like 0.01. It's fine. And then above it, I want to add an anchor point, and I'm going to go UV border. Perfect. Okay, we can hide it because we don't need to see it. And the material background base color is black. I'm just going to duplicate this, and I'll just put one. Let's do that. Zero 0.5, 0.5, 0.5. Okay. Or is it? It's at 1. Let's do that. There you go. So I'm going to put these in a group. And we have our background split in our average. Okay. And then for our average, I want to make a black mask. And under the black mask, I want to add a fill. And the fill, I'm going to get our UV border anchor. So it's using this mask to mask these edges. Okay. And you can see now we have perfect normals. Okay. Look at that. It's great. It's great everywhere. All's well. We go down here. This is all good. We even have our nice cylindrical edges. They look perfect. Everything's perfect. Everything's great. Except we don't have it as our mesh map. So what we can then do is take this and go File, Export Texture. And we want to export the combined mesh. Export. Get our output directory. So we have our averaged, which is busted. Have our normal, which is nice, but with the busted edges. And then we have our combined, which is this really nice map of the combination of both. Okay. Save settings. I can bring this in. Texture to the project. And then we can just take this and bring it into our normal map. We can just hide this folder. So now we have perfect mesh maps, and we can just continue on working with texturing as we do. Unfortunately, if you need to change this model or update anything, you have to go through that process again. So that's the con. The pro is we have our low poly model, which is our low poly model. We haven't added any geometry. So if you want to make something for very low end hardware, this is a really good way of having very, very nice normal maps without adding any geometry resolution to it. One thing I'd like to add before I finish this up is we can turn this into a tool, right? Or a smart material. So I'm going to turn this on, and I'm going to go mesh map blends. Okay. And in this over here, I guess we can just clear out these materials. And the BG, that's fine. And then I'm just going to right click on this, and I'm going to go create smart material, and then wait for it to load. And then here we have our mesh map smart material. So we can just click it and drag it and put it in here, and it'll have everything set up for us. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, so we are here in Maya, and I've imported our high resolution model. I have had to decimate it because 4 million polygon model is just taking way too long. So we have a high poly model. We're just going to use this as a reference. And as you can see, when I imported this, it imported the two objects, right? That we had in our name. Okay. And then we obviously have our low poly model. So for our high poly model, I'm just going to put it into a group and just hide that. You could see for our low poly model, we just have our basic model. Now I did have to fill this hole because when it imported this, because there was no edges, Maya just decided to delete this whole face. Okay. All right. So first thing we need to do is give this some UVs. I'm just gonna select it, go UVs, camera based. I am actually gonna also just split this off. So if I'm just gonna right click this and go extract. So now we have the two, and I'm actually just gonna call these the same. So this is gonna be object underscore flow, and this is barrier underscore low. Okay, perfect. Pop this on the top. All right, so I'm going to take the object and I'm going to UV it. So again, we want to cut. Okay. Unfold. Perfect. All right, then we'll do these. So Control 1. Let's select all this. Okay, so we select them both together. Then we just do a 2K, 2 iterations, fine, rotate shells, I guess. 16C short layout. Okay, preserve 3D, yeah, that's fine. Okay, I guess we'll just deal with that. I'm not too worried about UV layout, as I mentioned before. Okay, so I'm gonna close this. And I'm going to select all of this, and I need to, we need to give it some normals. So we're going to go soft hard. So we're going to soften everything. And then we want to split where our UV borders are. So I'm going to select our edges and go selection, texture borders. And if we turn this off, I'm going to shift right click and go hard. Now, the reason why this hasn't changed is because our normals have been locked, right? Because I imported this from Houdini. It was just the base model. So we have to select this and go mesh and then unlock normals, because it unlocks it. And now whatever we did has updated, right? So I mean, we can do it again. So we go, yeah, soft, that's fine. And then we want to select our edges, and then we right click and go hard, and that works fine. Okay. So now what we want to do is select our models, and I'm going to triangulate it. So we just have, you know, that's great. And I want to give it a, so if I go edit, delete all by type history, I want to give it a new material. Okay, so we want to right click, go new material, Lambert, and I think it's just called model. Let's call it model 1. Model geo, I don't know, that's fine. Okay, so now we want to create our cage. So I'm going to duplicate this and grab our model object and our barrier object. And so if I hold Control and click with my middle mouse button, sorry, if I select the vertices, hold Control and click with my middle mouse button, this expands with the through our point normals, right? And that's fine, except we need it to go where our edge splits are. Okay, so what we're going to do is get our, did we I expanded that too much, let's go down. Okay, so now what we need to do is just get our edges, select texture borders, right? And then I'm gonna shift right click and I'm going to go detach components, right? So now, oh, it doesn't work on multiple select objects. Cool, 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 cool. Texture borders, right? Detach edge components. And then I'm going to select the barrier, selection, detach edge components. Okay, so that's great. So now we can select these. I'm going to edit, delete by type history. So then now if I go vertices, right? And I unhide this, I can now control middle mouse and bring these up. Okay. So I just have to make sure, don't worry about the flickering in there. That's our normal model. Just want to make sure that it's like covering all of this. So over here, we can double click this face and I want to bring this in a little bit here. I want to double click these faces, bring this in like that. Okay, that's good. And then that's this one here, bring this up a bit more. That's all fine. Obviously bring this one out. So I'm just going to hold control and then middle mouse and just bring it out like that. And then obviously this island here, control middle mouse to bring that out like that. And that's great. Okay, so our cage is done. And our model is done. Okay, so I want to file, export selection, models. I'll just make a new folder. Maya. Model low. Export. Go to this. Hit the G key. Model. Go. Cage. Okay. So now we go into Painter. And I go File, New. That's fine. So we want to go to Models, Maya, Model Low. Go 2K. Okay. So we have our model. It's all good. Go to our bake. I just want to bake our normal map. And we want to go 2K. We'll go 16. Go to our models, bake, high, and we want our update. And hopefully we go to the match by mesh name. There you go. You can see it found them. That's good. And then for a cage, we want to go to our Maya model cage. Okay. So what we'll do for the first bit is we'll just do averaged and we'll hit bake. And we'll turn this off. You can see we got our perfect bakes for our edges. And then if we go cage, right, same thing, bake. And then as you can see, we have our perfect bake for our cage. Okay. So we know what to do now, right? So I'm just going to file, export textures, going to do our normal blend mesh maps, change this to Targa, and change this to the split. You want to go split. I'm going to save it to mesh maps, and in here, Maya, select folder, Targa, that's fine. So we go export, open output directory. So here we go. That's great. And then save settings, turn the cage off and bake. Okay. This is good. File, export textures. We want this to be the averaged. Export, save settings. And if we go to our output directory, we have the averaged. And we have our split. You can see here, these normals, they are good. These ones are not good. Okay. Then we want to go here. I want to remove this. And before we made our smart material. So I'm going to grab this, drag this into here. And we go to our folder, Maya. Going to bring these two in here. Texture, texture, bring it into the project, import. So here we have our average. So in our split, we want to put our split And in our average, we want to put our average. And there we go. Because we made our awesome smart material, that this just works. You know, that was like super quick to do. We've been recording for 13 minutes and most of that I've been explaining. Then we go File, Export Textures, Model Geo. We do the combined export output directory. So now we've got the combined ones. Okay, and we can just save settings, drag that into here, texture, project, import, and then we can just hide this and bring in our normal map. And there we go. That's great. All of that looks great. All right, so let's have a go at doing this in Blender. Alrighty, let's have a look at doing the normal blend method in Blender. So in here I have our high poly mesh, the reference, and I have our low poly object. All right. So the first thing I want to do is split off our high and low. So if we select these pieces here, go select linked, and then mesh, separate, selection. Okay, so I'm going to call this bottom piece object underscore low. All right, and then this piece is barrier underscore low. Okay, great. So now we want to UV them. So I'm just going to select them both, and I'm just going to go flat shade. And then here I want to select the edges of all of this. Okay, I think that's all good from what I can see. Okay, so now we want to go edge, mark, seam. Okay. Okay, I think we're good here. So we go edge, mark, seam. And then we have a look at these ones. Edge, mark, seam. Okay, so we have all of these marked. Okay, so we'll come out of here. We will unhide that and select them both. Go into edit mode. Go into the UV editing. Select everything, UV unwrap. That's good. Then we'll select this UV magic and we want to go align, no, hack, this, and we want to go like 0.01. We can have some edge borders. Okay, so we're good here. All right. So now what we want to do is we need to create, we want to select our seams for all of this. And then we want to edge mark sharp. So now if we turn off our seams, we have sharp edges where our UV borders are. Okay, so I'm going to take these and duplicate them, put them in a new collection, and I'm going to call this cage. So we'll just go barrier low, cage, object, cage, pop these into here. Okay, then I'll just hide this, and on our cages I want to select both of these, go into edit mode. Okay, then I want to select everything, show seams. Yeah, so you want to select this and Shift G, select all this, mesh, split faces by edges. There we go. So I think that's the one. So if I go 3, select, linked. Yeah, that's good. So if I select this one here, and we go up, yeah, that's good. So we want to select everything, unhide our high, and then we want to move this out until that's just poking. So there's no, okay. So that's good. Then we want to select this and move this out. Then we want to come down to here. We want to select these two here. We want to move them in so they're not touching the normals. And then this one, select linked. We want to move this one out like that. Perfect. Exactly what we want. Okay, so we have our 3 objects. We've got our model and we have our cage. So let's export this, shall we? So I'm gonna select our barrier low, but first we need to make sure that our normals are correct. So I want to select everything. We select these and we go, smooth shade. But I also need to go inside of here and select this, control Shift G, seam, and we go edge, mark as sharp. So now we should, when we go auto smooth, wherever it's sharp, it's a sharp edge. Whenever it's smooth, it's not a UV border, it's a smooth edge. Okay. So now we can select these two, edit, file, export, FBX. I'll go into models, Blender. You can see I did a test here. So we want to export selected objects, export. Don't worry about our high. Oh, we need our cage. So we want to select our cage, file, export, FBX, selected objects, cage, FBX, export. Okay. Now we want to go into Painter, File, New, let's go 2K, select, Blender, our low, okay. So we have our low, all right, that's good. Got our nice UVs, okay. Then we want to go to our croissant, 2K, we only want to do normal, right? We want the high poly. Take this high. We can see this over here, and that's fine. Let's go 16x. And that's all good. So we can do a bake. You can see we have our lovely edges, right? So now we want to export. Also back, we want to bring, oh yeah, it's fine. We want to go File, Export Texture. We want to select our normal mesh maps, Targa. So we want to make this the averaged. Okay. And we want to export it. Substance, mesh maps, Blender, select folder. We want this one, so we go export, open. So there we go. There's our averaged. Save settings. Then we want to go use cage. We want to grab our cage. And we want to bake this. So you can see this turns out great because this is our cage. Okay. So then we want to file, export textures, and we want to export our split. So we want to export. And so this looks great. This is exactly what we want. Now this might not be high enough. And the issue is that we need to actually turn the by mesh name on. You can see that they've found these. So now we bake. There we go. That's what we want. So now we file, export textures. We want to export our split. So we want to export, save settings. We want to go to our texturing. Then we want to remove our normals. We want to go into our smart materials, our mesh map. And we want to grab our textures. So we want to get our split and our averaged, and bring them in here. Texture, texture, into the project, import. And then in our mesh maps, again, we want to go our background, that's fine. So in our split, we want to get our, come on. In our split, we want to get our split. And in our averaged, we want to get our averaged. And there we go, right? So just like before, this is great. This works wonders. Now we want to go File, Export Texture, Default. Want to export the combined, export, open output directory. Now we have our wonderful, we got our wonderful combined map here. So now we bring this in, texture, project, import. You can turn this off. And in our mesh maps, we can now put our normal texture. So there you go. That's how we do it in Blender. It looks great. And we retain our super low poly count. All right.